Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, so a few days ago I was wondering randomly, I wonder how close to the 1,000 video mark that I am. And then I checked Social Blade and if it'll focus, yeah, this is my 1,000th video. It's kind of mad really, 1,000 videos. And how long's that taken? I think it's 6 years. Is it 6 years I've been on YouTube this November? I think it's that. It's kind of nuts really when you think about it, and it's also weird to think that what I was doing when I started out, you know, I was a cook and I was on the 125 and I wasn't very happy, and since then, you know, there's been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of stuff's happened, and bikes have arrived, and, you know, license was done, and, you know, everything that happens in someone's life over the course of 6 years, but it's all been documented, it's all there to see over the course of 1,000 videos. Not many motovloggers out there can beat me on total amount of videos. I think M13 can. And I think Jake's a little bit behind me. There's not many. You know, 1,000 videos, it seems like a lot of work. Anyway, talking of work, one of the reasons I haven't actually done anything more spectacular for a 1,000 video special is just because basically I've been working a lot, and it kind of shows me 1,000 videos worth of work, and I'm still working. But it's on different things, and it's nice to see how things have developed over the years. Anyway, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've built recently, and then I've got to strip an engine down a bit, because I want to use the parts out of it. So you've seen the clocks. If you're aware of the metalwork clocks I've made, they're sold on Etsy. I will be doing more when I get more sprockets and stuff in. Haslemere Motorcycles have got stuff for me right now, which is fantastic. So much thanks to them. They've been so helpful to my channel over these years of making 1,000 videos. You know, so a lot of my most viewed videos are actually through Haslemere because of, you know, like the Bergman review, that's got 150,000 likes, views. I wish I had that many likes. And like the unboxing of the Jix 1000, that's got over 100,000, and the reviews, they all just do very well. And obviously Haslemere really looked after me, so props to them and thank you for those bits. Anyway, stop waffling on. Here is the base. Basically it's a starter gear out of Betty actually. Betty engine number 2. One of the main bearings out of the same engine, and a sprocket off of that engine. And it all goes like this. Anyway, get on with it. Then the next section, I should make it pretty obvious at this point, is it? And then the last bit is this head. It's a bird basically, a weird mechanical bird. It's quite nice in the way that sort of the tail is independent from everything else, and these still turn to a point. So you've got the wings, which are foot pegs. This is the gearbox. Obviously, this is the other end of the gear shifter selector fork, where you click it up and down. This is on the other end that actually actuates the gearbox. It's all Betty. In fact, Betty, this is Betty. It all is, other than the ball bearings, which are in the eyes. I know the head's different each side, but I like the fact that from different angles it can look like a totally different thing depending on what you want it to be. Pretty cool, I think. I think I'm selling this. It's all made out of Betty parts, so I kind of, in a way, I'm like, I'd love to keep one of these things, but I do need to sell stuff, so I don't know, I'll see. If it goes up, you'll know. Follow my social media to keep up to date with it. The other thing that I made, that I think I'm pretty sure I am selling because I've already got enough clocks, starts off with a flywheel. Then we have this. Looks like a bit like a lightsaber, to be honest. I wish I had the CGI started. It's on there, spins, and again you've got flywheel, bearing, cam with the cam gear, gear selector drum, and then a fork with a nut. And then we have a sprocket with real carbon fibre. Thanks to one of my kind people who sent me some stuff from my PO box. By the way, the PO box is PO Box 170, Hayling Island, PO11 1RG. You can send me old bike bits, you can send me bits, and you know, these are the sorts of things I can use, sprockets, discs, all that sort of stuff. But this person very kindly sent me some carbon fibre. Different offcuts. I'm guessing he put a dash in a boat or something, because these look like clock cutouts. Really appreciate him doing that. Thank you very much, dude. And as I say, I've incorporated it into this. This isn't finished yet. I've actually got to put a different length stem clock mechanism in. I've got to order those after the weekend. And it has a... Oh, that part is the part that the gear selector goes into. So anyway, clock on there. There we go. It's going to have nice red arms on the clock. And it spins. And it looks pretty damn good from any angle, I think. Yeah, so basically that's what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of this. I'm learning a lot. My welds are not the best in the world. Like, they're not the cleanest, but I actually like the way they look. I clean them up a lot. Like, it'll focus. Will it focus? You know, like where this neck's joined, it's very smooth, but you can see some marks in there. But I like that you can tell where it was put together. It makes it look a little bit organic at the same time that it looks. I know how that sounds. It's like someone saying I've built something rustically, but I like the effect. Right, you may have seen in an old video how a motorcycle engine works and how a gearbox works. Two very successful videos, mine out of 1,000. I took Betty engine number 1 apart and I showed how an engine worked using it in a gearbox, because this all still all turns. And you can still kind of change gear. There you go. No, that's neutral. Dang it. There we go. So anyway, yeah, so I've had this engine for a while, and it's been sat in my room as a bit of an ornament, and I do like it. I mean, it's quite cool, you know, what's that? Well, it's the engine off my first bike. However, I think these parts could go to better use now in more stuff, so I've got to take this apart and use it all. It's kind of sad, but at the same time I think it's good. You know, moving on in life. Don't look behind, look forwards, use what you have in front of you. I'm also desperate for parts to make stuff with, so I'm going to just take this apart and talk shit for a while. I don't know how long this video will be, but, you know, I guess the true fans will appreciate it. You know, over the years on YouTube, it's taught me a lot of things. It's taught me a lot about business, it's taught me a lot about people, it's taught me a lot about myself, and what you're capable of doing if you really put your mind to something. I mean, a lot of people think it's easy to do, you know, motovlogging, or YouTubering, if you want to call it that. And it is, it's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of work to it which most people don't want to have to do, and that's why you get so many of these channels that start up. And I think the #1 reason that I've heard for people quitting motovlogging is the time and the editing. It's just like, you know, I don't want to have to edit these videos. It takes so much time, I didn't realise. For some people, I think it's the audience growth is too slow. You know, I'm always asked questions like, you know, I've had my channel running for a couple of months now. I've made about 5 videos, and I've only got 80 subscribers. How am I going to get this to go faster? And it's just like, it takes time. You have to put a lot of effort in. You have to make a lot of videos, or you just get really successful. I don't know. I mean, you know, there's been plenty of vloggers along the way that have just appeared out of nowhere, way after I started up, and then just blown up and got really big. And you know, I've still got a relatively small channel, but it's enough that it makes a big difference to my life. I think these are alley, which is no use to me unless I bolt it. Hadn't thought of that. Of course I can bolt alley. That'll have a use. It's just all these little funny little bits and pieces you just need. Roller bearings. Look at them. Not sure. This feels too light to be steel. I'm thinking it's alley. Yes. Oh, that's going to need some cleaning up. But yeah, you can see that's the that's the base of the bird, and that's the flywheel. Selector forks and shafts. They're very handy stuff. Where was I? But yeah, but all in all, making those 1,000 videos and everything that's happened because of it has just been awesome and fantastic, and I'm really appreciative of anyone who helps out. The GT Man sending me the gearbox from an R1, was it? I think it was an R1. Someone's offered me some R1 cams they're trying to find. They think they have in their garage. That's good. I can make like an R1 piece. As I was saying, another thing that YouTube's taught me is a lot about people. Both good and bad, to be honest with you. What I've learned about people, sort of, is is you interact with hundreds of people, way more than, you know, some people would actually interact with people in an entire year, maybe, in person. You get to see the truer form of people online. And, you know, people say, oh, you know, what people say to you online is not, they wouldn't say it to your face. No, because they're being faker. Online you get people who are more true, I think. And the two things that have blown me away the most is the generosity of others to strangers, and just how cancerous some people can be, and how obviously jealous or just toxic, just toxic people can be. In the worst situations, some of the things that people will say. You know, people say, oh, you know, ignore the haters. I've learned to ignore the haters a long time ago, and every time I post a comment from someone, it's just ridiculous. People are like, oh, you know, don't worry about it, Spicy, just ignore the haters. It's like, I'm not doing it because it's getting on my nerves. It's more sort of highlighting, this is what people can really be like, if you get there, sort of see them in their true form. As I say, very often these people who are giving you hate, as it were, you can see through it so clearly and realise that it's actually they feel threatened or jealous or just angry that you're doing something and they're not. And very often it's someone who's just sat on their ass watching YouTube videos. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's all they do, or they want to do something and they just don't have the energy to do it and they can't get around to it. And then they see someone else doing something that they want to do and they see it as an insult to themselves, and they have negative reinforcing on themselves by going sort of like, oh, you're a wanker, this is stupid, blah blah blah, or just being shitty with people about something, and it's blatantly obvious when they do it. But I don't really want to talk about haters. Or just sort of, the thing is, it's a big part of YouTube. If you've made as many videos as I have, you know, I've actually made more than 1,000 videos, to be honest. I've made about 1,020, I think. But over the years, there's been ones that have been taken down for various reasons, whether it was just really cancerous, the sort of comments on it, or if I'd made a mistake in something I was saying, I have taken things down and corrected myself in following videos if I feel like I've made a mistake. So I actually have made more, but what's actually online and staying is this is the thousands. Right, I need a hammer. Come on. Oh yeah, easy. Nice. Well, I have a pair of these cranks now with pistons. Pistons are both damaged though. I know, it's very heavy as well. It'd be very difficult to post. Oh, one of the reasons why you might see that the sculptures are in pieces, sort of, I like the fact that they move and swivel, but also it means that when I send them, I can send them in separate packages and they break down nicely to be packed away, rather than being some ungainly thing. You know, it's 3 smaller pieces. Will you have the power? That's a no. It's good though, lots of bearings. I love bearings, I love using bearings. If you've got bearings, you can send me bearings. Bearings! I'm having flashbacks to doing this before and these being ridiculously tight. Yep, and they're also soft metal. To go on to a more positive note, the coolest things that I think that it's allowed me to do doing YouTube is the fests, because they're just really cool. And there will be another sausage fest. I'm always asked by people regularly, you know, sort of, when's the next sausage fest? Do you know where it's going to be? No, I don't know these things, and when I do know, you will know. I don't ever sort of speculate or anything like that until I know what's going to happen. And then I put it out there in every single way I possibly can, and if you miss it, well, you must have been living under a rock. So, any time that you're unaware of what's going on Sausage Fest-wise, just you can be sure that basically nothing's happening, or I'm planning stuff and I can't talk about it yet. I actually, at this point in time, have no idea. Well, I have a rough idea where I want to do the next one. When it's going to be, it'll be next year now. But yeah, it's just too much stuff. Too many uncertainties. I have to sort of work a couple of weeks at a time, because I don't know what's going to happen after that. A lot of change happens when you work in YouTube. Yeah, that's quite funny actually, because people, you know, the classic, "You've changed, man. You've changed." Yeah, I should think I have, in some ways, over the years, because, you know, if someone doesn't change at all in 6 years, you're not developing much as a person, really, are you? And you know, and the people saying that will have done the same things in their lives. They will have changed massively, you know, year to year. But they just don't have documented evidence you can go back and cross-check and, you know, what would they have done before, what would they do now, what did they think then, what do they think now. What we can say about these is they're tight. Excuse me a minute, I'm just going to have to sort this out. Come on. Hey! And this one? Well, I think that did the trick. What have we got? Another selector fork. Another one of these bits. Springs there, yeah, I don't know. It's quite handy for joining little bits together, you know, little bridges. Yeah, another one of those. I want the bearing. I think the only thing holding these in is, yeah, another gearbox stack. Sweet! Excuse me a second. It's another thing YouTube's taught me. If you want to get something done, you have to just do it. It's, you know, it can be as simple as things like you remembering to charge your headset or remember to charge your phone. If it needs doing and you sit there and you're like, yeah, I should do that, but I'm not, get up and do it. You will get so much more done in your day if you just get up and do things. But that, and time management has taught me a lot about managing time. The amount that I can get done in a day is pretty amazing, to be honest. Yeah! The other thing YouTube has taught me, talking about sort of about yourself, is I didn't realise how much of a creative person I was, and because I wasn't fulfilling any of my creative aspects, other than doing photography, which kind of got a bit embittered because of it not working out as a business plan. I didn't have too many creative outlets, and I started YouTube, and it, you know, it can be as creative as you wish it to be, and then it's led me into doing something which, you know, when I was about 16, I had this idea of doing this sort of stuff, you know, making bits out of bikes and things like that. Camera battery died, sorry. The fact that it's all come around in a big circle from something I wanted to do when I was like 15, went through all these different various stages doing other creative things and did YouTube, and then eventually it's come back to me doing this and selling this. It's been really nice, actually. It feels like gratification for something I should have been doing a long time ago, but for some reason never did. There's no reason why I didn't. I just didn't, and I don't know why. But then maybe it takes you to change as a person over the years before you realise when is the right time for you to do these things. I don't know. I mean, obviously I've needed to, back then I didn't know anything about welding, I didn't know anything about putting stuff together, materials or anything like that, or what parts of what and what you could do with it. But yeah, it's kind of nice the way it's come back around. So basically all the parts now go in degreaser, and yeah, they'll just sit in there for a day, and then I'll clean them up, and then they go into the box of bits that I can make things from. Anyway, well there we go, I've taken it all apart. I thought it'd be better to talk about like the things that I've learnt through doing YouTube, through those 1,000 videos, rather than just being like, yeah, 1,000 videos, there's 1,000 of them. Even though it's not really, because I've actually made over 1,000, it would have been weeks ago because I deleted some along the way. I don't know. To the people who've been watching a very long time, and I know there is a lot of you, thank you very much for your support over the years. Leaving likes on videos and just watching them is the most important thing, really. The people who can really help grow the channel are you guys, with likes and with shares and watching the videos and telling your mates about them and stuff like that really helps. The people who have actually sort of helped support me through a few problems I've had over the past couple of years, like with with Derek, and then that continuing into getting DIVI, and the people who are sending me bits, I really appreciate it. To the people who are really sour about it, I mean, I'm sorry. There's people who still watch and still give me shit for ever accepting some help along the way, and well, I don't really give a shit what they think, because the fact of the matter is the people who just decided to help me chose to help me off their own backs. There was no gun at anyone's head, and it's completely their own choice. And that's what I mean about the generosity of strangers. I mean, although I suppose to me you seem like a stranger because you're just someone that I've never really met or know watches my videos. Even if I know your name that pops up in nearly every video, I only know you as that username. You've seen the ins and outs of my life, so you know me a lot better, and maybe that's why people feel better about helping. As I say, the PO box is there if you do wish to help out with some bike parts. You've seen the sort of things that I'm using, you know, engine parts and cogs, and particularly sprockets, rear sprockets and discs, front and rear. Really need the help on those. But as I've got garages that are helping me out, and I've got to basically go around the south and speak to lots of other garages and see if there are any scrapyards around the country that have got a few things they can sort me out. But I'll work out ways. I'm going to do the Q&A answers next. I realised this is my 1000th video and it couldn't just be a Q&A answers, so I thought I'd do something a bit different. And people like seeing me do stuff in the garage, and yeah. I'm sorry I haven't filmed any of making the things like the bird or the clocks or anything like that. There's a couple of reasons for that. Mostly because it just adds so much more work into it and it makes it a lot more stressful. There's a channel I'm watching a lot at the moment called Alex Steele. You may know, actually, I found out about him because one of my subscribers was wearing one of my shirts on his video while they were doing some things. I can't remember what they were doing now. And then more recently I've been watching him I've watched a lot of metalwork channels just to see what techniques they use to restore things. A hand tool restoration is another channel. Just seeing the techniques that they use and the outcomes on the metal finishes and stuff like that. I've been watching these sorts of videos for years. But yeah, Alex Steele really impresses me because he manages to produce stuff and produce videos all the time. And it means that he's filming while he's working, and it slows the process down so much. Yeah, so there's a shout to Alex Steele and to hand tool restoration. Anyway, enough waffling on. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time. Bye bye. Much love and all that.